Listen with a calm heart as I tell you a tale of a lost soul wandering in darkness, a king who once made mountains and forests bow, now trembling in a cold, deep cave. Beneath the canopy of an ancient forest, where light dared only to slip through the gaps between leaves, that lion had forgotten its own roar, forgotten the blazing fire in its heart that the Buddha bestowed upon all beings. Yet in this impermanent realm, no darkness lasts forever. No fear is fated to endure. I saw it. Through the eyes of a wandering old monk, through the wind whispering sutras, through the moonlight illuminating the path to enlightenment. Sit down here, close your eyes, let your soul merge with that forest. The story begins, not just of the lion, but of us, those seeking a way out of the dark caves within our own hearts. Deep within the dense jungle, where intertwined branches blocked out the sun, there once lived a lion, king of all beasts, whose single roar could shake the heavens and earth. But that title now lingered only as a distant shadow, faded even in its own mind. The lion lived in silence, curled up in a cold cave, where moss-covered stone walls shimmered faintly, and drops of water from the ceiling mingled with the musty scent of damp earth. A feeble light crept through a narrow crevice, just enough to reveal cobwebs stretching across the space and a pile of white bones, remnants of the sparse meals it reluctantly hunted. The wind howled through the cave's entrance like a mocking whisper, reminding it of its solitude and the fear that held it captive. Day after day, it lay coiled on the hard stone floor, its golden eyes clouded with lethargy. It no longer roamed the plains or roared to assert its dominion as its ancestors had. Instead, it slept, long, fitful slumbers, as if escaping the world outside. When it awoke, it merely sighed, a heavy sound echoing in the stillness. It feared everything: the sudden flap of a bird's wings, the rustle of leaves under tiny creatures' feet, even the distant howl of the night wind. That fear imprisoned not just its body, but its soul, making it forget who it was. Yet it hadn't always dwelt in this shadow of doubt. As a cub, it had been the embodiment of joy and curiosity. The forest was a vast playground, where it frolicked with its siblings on the grass, chased sunbeams piercing through the canopy, its laughter blending with the breeze. Its father, a majestic lion with a thick mane like a flame, led the pride with regal strides. Each of his roars shook the forest, commanding respect from every creature. The cub would trail behind, wide-eyed, watching its father defeat predators and shield the pride from danger. In its young heart burned a dream: to grow into a king as mighty and fearless as its father. Those radiant memories now felt like a distant painting, obscured by a fateful day. One sweltering afternoon, with the sun hanging high and its hot light cracking the earth, the cub joined its father on its first hunt, stepping forward with swelling pride. But that joy was short-lived. From the dry grass, a pack of hyenas burst forth, their eyes glinting with hunger and cruelty. Their cackling laughter rang out, eerie and overwhelming, drowning out the wind. Its father stood unshaken, roaring and charging, claws slashing the air, fangs flashing. But the enemy was too numerous, moving like a coordinated whirlwind, tearing at him from all sides. The cub stood frozen, legs trembling, heart pounding as if it would burst, watching its father fall, his golden fur stained red with blood, his final roar fading weakly into the air. It wanted to rush forward, to roar, to say save him, but its body was paralyzed. When the hyenas turned toward it, it could only run, its small legs carrying it back to the cave in blind terror. From that moment, the light in its soul went out. Returning to the cave with its mother and siblings, the image of its father's mangled body haunted it relentlessly. Each time it closed its eyes, it saw the hyenas' glowing eyes and heard their mocking laughter. Fear grew, transforming it into a weak creature, a stranger to itself. The forest, once its home, now brimmed with danger, and the cave, though cold, offered the only semblance of false safety. Time passed in the dark cave, each day a cycle of resignation. But one morning, as the faint dawn filtered through the stone crevice, a strange stirring awoke within it. Its stomach growled with hunger, and deep in its mind, a spark of curiosity flickered like wind-stirring embers. It wondered, beyond the cave in the vast forest, could there be more than fear and painful memories? With trembling legs, it rose and stepped out. For the first time in months, fresh air filled its lungs, carrying the scent of grass and wildflowers. But that fleeting joy didn't last. It moved cautiously, ears perked, eyes darting like a fugitive. Every small sound, the snap of a twig under a squirrel's foot, the hurried chirp of a bird, made its heart clench. It tried to shrink into the shadows, hoping to go unnoticed. But the forest never slept, and predators always lurked. From the thick undergrowth, the hyenas silently followed, their eyes glowing like embers, their laughter stifled, waiting for the moment to strike. When it stepped into a clearing, where sunlight exposed its tall frame, the hyenas waited no longer, charging forth to encircle it in a deadly ring. It stood frozen, breath ragged, legs threatening to buckle. The hyenas didn't attack immediately, savoring the game, circling with bared teeth and sinister grins. "Look at this, the king of beasts," the pack leader growled, its voice sharp as a blade. "Where are you off to, little lion?" "Out to find some courage," another chimed in, its high-pitched voice dripping with scorn. "It's got nothing but matted fur and an empty belly, probably running back to its cave to cry." The pack erupted in laughter, the sound echoing through the trees, as if tearing apart the last shred of dignity in its heart. "Come on, give it a chance," one said, its tone mockingly kind but eyes glinting with malice. "Roar for us. Prove you're a king, or can you only whimper like a wet kitten?" They paused, waiting, their hungry gazes fixed. It tried, drawing a deep breath, opening its mouth, but only a weak, hoarse groan escaped, like wind through a crack. The hyenas doubled over in hysterics. "Listen to that! The roar of a king!" the leader taunted. "You're a disgrace. I can smell your fear from a mile away. Brothers, finish it. Don't let this trash sully the forest." The hyenas lunged, claws flashing, jaws gaping to tear it apart. It closed its eyes, body rigid, ready to meet death. But just as the claws neared its flesh, a sound erupted, a deep, powerful roar that shook the ground. It wasn't its own. Opening its eyes, it witnessed the unbelievable. A man stood between it and the hyenas, his gaunt frame radiating unyielding resolve. He wore a saffron robe blazing like fire, his white beard fluttering in the wind, his deep eyes shining with an uncanny calm. A monk who had just roared like a lion. The hyenas froze, stepping back, ears flattening in shock. The monk's roar wasn't just sound. It carried the force of an indomitable will, as if the entire forest bowed before it. He gazed at the hyenas, his voice steady yet sharp. "Leave this place. Harm this lion no more. You don't know who you're facing." The pack leader snarled, regaining its aggression. "Mad old man, who are you to command us? What can you do alone?" The monk smiled faintly, unshaken. "I'm not alone. I carry the spirit of those who've overcome fear. You see only numbers and claws. I see heart and will. This lion isn't prey. It's a king, even if it doesn't yet know it." The leader snapped, "King of what? It's trash. Look at it tremble." The monk shook his head, his tone calm. "You see only the surface. I see within, a fire waiting to blaze. I'll help it burn. Leave before you pay the price." The hyenas wavered, their eyes flickering between ferocity and doubt. The monk needed no more words. His presence was like an immovable mountain. Finally, The leader snarled one last time, turned, and led the pack away, their laughter fading into the shadows. The lion watched, breath heaving, but a spark of hope stirred within. The monk turned to it, his gaze gentle yet firm. "Don't be afraid, my friend," he said, his voice warm like sunlight through leaves. "Follow me. I'll show you who you are." It hesitated, legs shaky, but his voice compelled obedience. It rose and followed him out of the perilous clearing, deeper into the forest. They wove through winding paths, where ancient roots jutted up and thick ferns obscured the way. The monk stopped by a small lake, its surface a mirror reflecting the blue sky. An old cherry tree leaned over, its pale pink petals drifting on the water, rippling gently. The monk sat on a flat stone, motioning it closer. "Sit here, my friend," he said, his voice like a distant temple bell. It hesitated, then settled on the grass, its golden eyes watching him with curiosity and doubt. "Do you know why I brought you here?" the monk asked, stroking his white beard. It shook its head, throat dry. The monk smiled, pointing to the lake. "Look into the water. Tell me what you see." It leaned forward, its breath rippling the surface. When the water stilled, it saw its reflection. A thick, tangled mane still majestic, golden eyes alive with vigor, sharp fangs, powerful claws, the image of a lion, not the trembling creature cornered by hyenas, but a true king. "I see a lion," it whispered, voice trembling with awe. The monk nodded, eyes twinkling. "Yes, that's you, the real lion. Not the one hiding in a cave, not the one fearing hyenas. You forgot this. I'll help you remember." It looked up, hope and confusion flashing in its eyes. "But how? I'm not that lion anymore. I'm afraid, weak. I can't roar, can't fight." The monk shook his head, his voice firm yet kind. "You're not weak. You're trapped in your mind. Fear isn't your nature. It's dust covering the strength within. I'll teach you to wipe it away." He stood, plucking a cherry blossom from the water and holding it before it. "Look at this petal. Fragile, easily swept by the wind, yet it blooms beautifully despite knowing it will fall. That's true strength, not in claws or roars, but in facing life with courage and truth." It gazed at the petal, then at the monk. "Why help me? I've lost everything. My father, my courage, my place." The monk placed the petal in its paw, his hand oddly warm. "I'll teach you through the Buddha's way," he said. "Buddhism is the path to liberation from suffering, to finding yourself again. It teaches that everything, fear, pain, passes like clouds drifting by. But your true strength, your true nature, is eternal. You only need to see it clearly." The sun rose, painting the forest gold with its first rays. The lion awoke by the lake, cool dew clinging to its thick fur. The sound of the stream blended with birdsong, weaving a gentle symphony. It lifted its head, gazing at its reflection in the water. The image was no longer foreign. A majestic mane, eyes ablaze, a regal bearing now clear in its mind. The monk's words from the night echoed, "You are a king. Believe it in your heart." The monk rose early, meditating on the flat stone, eyes half closed, breath in harmony with nature. His saffron robe glowed in the sunlight, a flame amid the green. Sensing the lion stir, he opened his eyes and smiled warmly. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice soft but brimming with faith. The lion stood, legs trembling, but nodded. "I want to try, but I don't know where to start." The monk approached. "Start with one step," he said. "Today you face the forest, not to flee, but to reclaim your place. I'll walk with you." They left the lake, venturing deeper into the forest. Each step was a test. The crunch of dry leaves beneath its paws reminded it of the presence it once hid. The monk walked beside, silent but watchful. Reaching a wide meadow bathed in sunlight, where birds soared, he stopped. "This is the place," he said. "Stand tall. Lift your head. Let the forest know who you are." It took a deep breath, trying to open. Standing in the meadow's center, the wind tossed its mane. But as it opened its mouth to roar, a rustle sounded from distant bushes. 2 leopards emerged, their cold eyes fixed on it. They didn't attack, stalking slowly, observing. Its heart raced, memories of hyenas flooding back. It turned to the monk, voice shaking. "I can't. They'll attack like the hyenas." The monk placed a warm, steady hand on its shoulder. "Look at them," he said. "Not hyenas. They're part of the forest like you. Don't let the past blind you. See the present as it is." It looked again, realizing he was right. The leopards didn't growl or bare teeth. Curious, more than hostile. The monk continued, "Roar, not to threaten, but to say you belong here." It inhaled deeply, focusing its breath as the monk had taught. Air filled its chest, and from its throat came a sound. Not the weak groan of before, but a true roar. Not earth-shaking, but strong, rippling across the meadow, making the leopards step back. They watched, then turned and slipped into the undergrowth. It stood stunned, amazed. "I did it," it whispered. The monk nodded, eyes sparkling with joy. "That's the first step. The roar isn't just sound. It's a declaration. You showed the forest you're done hiding." He sat on the grass, motioning it closer. "Today you began. Each day, go further. Face challenges. I won't always be here, but the wisdom, compassion, and courage I teach will stay. Use them to reclaim your kingdom." As the sun climbed higher, they pressed on. The lion walked differently, head high, steps firm. The forest no longer felt menacing, but a place it belonged. It knew greater trials awaited, but this time, it wouldn't run. The sun tilted west, casting fiery orange streaks across the forest. They passed through open fields and thickets, shadows mingling with light. Each step carried a new rhythm, not timid or rushed, but calm and resolute. The first roar in the meadow had lit a spark within, small, but growing into a flame. The monk walked beside, silent, guiding without words. They paused by a small stream, its clear water flowing over smooth stones, babbling, like nature's whisper. The monk sat on the bank, tossing a pebble into the water, watching the ripples spread. "See that?" he said, voice warm. "A small act creates great change. Your roar today was the first pebble. Let it spread." The lion watched the widening circles, the words sinking deep. "What do I do next?" it asked. The monk smiled. "Live as a king, not to dominate, but to protect, to harmonize. Return to your cave, not to hide, but to rest, to prepare. The forest awaits you." It nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on its shoulders, not burdensome. They returned to the cave as dusk fell, the sky ablaze with red. The monk stood at the entrance, gazing at it with unwavering faith. "I'll leave at dawn," he said. "You don't need me anymore. What you need is within you." It wanted to speak, but nodded, heart full of gratitude. That night, it slept soundly, free of nightmares about hyenas or its father. Dawn arrived, the sun rising as the monk departed, leaving the lion alone before the cave. It stood, breathing the crisp air, feeling the forest's life flood into it. Today it stepped out, not just to hunt, but to claim its place. Walking familiar paths, head high, eyes blazing, mane billowing in the breeze. Deer, rabbits, and birds watched with curiosity and respect. Its roar echoed through the forest, not a threat, but a proclamation. The king had returned, but peace didn't last. Near a dry, open patch of grass and scattered rocks, a familiar scent wafted, the smell of hyenas. It halted, ears pricked, senses sharp. From behind the rocks, the hyenas emerged, more numerous, eyes glinting with hatred. The pack leader stepped forward, sneering. "Look who's here," it growled. "The brave lion. Think a weak roar, and a crazy old man changed you. No one's saving you today. Brothers, tear it apart." The hyenas charged, claws flashing, their eerie laughter ringing out. Its heart pounded, but it didn't close its eyes or flee. It recalled the monk's words, faced them with wisdom, compassion, courage. It stood firm, took a deep breath and roared, a mighty roar shaking the air. Not just sound, it was the fire bursting from within. It leaped into battle, claws slashing, fangs meeting foes. It fought not with blind rage or hatred. With wisdom, it observed, finding weaknesses. With compassion, it restrained, avoiding needless killing. With courage, it stood tall, even as blood stained its golden fur. The fight was long and fierce, but it didn't falter. It drove back each one, its roar drowning their laughter. At last, the wounded leader snarled one final time, leading the pack in retreat, leaving the clearing silent. It stood panting, blood dripping from wounds, eyes alight with pride. It had defeated not just the hyenas, but the fear that once bound it. The forest awoke. Birds sang, wind blew. Sunlight enveloped it, like a halo honoring a true king. And here is the story from a traveler, not a monk, but an ordinary American who found the Buddha's light amid a bustling city. He was once an office worker in Chicago, trapped in anxiety and pressure, caged by fear of failure and memories of hard times. One day in a park near Lake Michigan, he sat beneath an oak tree, listening to the waves and reading the Buddha's words in the Dhammapada. Mind precedes all things. Mind is master. Mind creates all. He realized his fear wasn't him. It was a temporary shadow veiling the strength within. The Buddha taught in the Diamond Sutra, "Let go of the false self to see the eternal true self." From then, he joined meditation sessions at a local Buddhist center, learning to face life with wisdom, compassion, and courage. Not unlike the lion in the forest. So it was with the lion. It didn't defeat the hyenas with claws alone, but with an awakened mind. Wisdom seeing the impermanence of fear, compassion healing past wounds, courage standing firm amid storms. From that day, it ruled the forest not with violence, but with calm and kindness. Creatures respected it, not out of fear, but because it embodied true strength, the strength of a king who knew itself. The cave was no longer a hideout, but a resting place after guarding its realm. Each dawn, its roar rang out, not just asserting power, but reminding itself of the Buddha's words in the Samyutta Nikaya. Freedom lies in letting go. Strength lies in awareness. It's that roar, echoed beyond the forest, a call transcending space, reaching people in this land of freedom, from the wide plains of Texas to the busy streets of Los Angeles. The Buddha taught in the Agama Sutras, all beings have Buddha nature, like a lamp shining in the dark, needing only to be kindled to blaze. The lion had kindled that lamp, not with physical might, but with an awakened soul. It became a living lesson for those lost in America's hurried pace, from workers in Detroit to entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. Its roar declared, whoever you are, whatever your past, you carry a king's strength within. Rise, let go of fear, and live your true nature. As I did, as the Buddha showed the way.